Yo, what's up, bros and girls of the Mirko? Welcome to the Mir Recap, where we will recap MPL ID Season 13, week number 6. So let's get straight into it with the tier list. Alright, boys, we'll start things off with our first. As usual, we're going to go start from the top to the bottom. So we're starting with Aura, and for Aura, really, I got to keep it simple here. I've been saying this from week number 1. Aura, they're really, really good right now. Right? But from week 1, there's one thing that hasn't changed. If you take a look at my week 1 MPL ID Season 13 recap, Mir recap, I said Iran is a very basic XP laner in the way he plays. He lost his identity completely, blah, blah, blah. Since then, he's improved. He found that identity. He's been able to mix it with the team fighting style, and now he's a very dynamic XP laner. That's part 1. And we obviously have, my criticism towards how they were only pure Yaoi-centric. They could only play with Yaoi. They also changed that up. Yaoi also learned some new heroes. Yehezkiel, my criticism to him, he only played Novaria and Vexana. Everything else, he doesn't play too well. He's improved on that too. But there is one thing that hasn't changed at all, and that is still Kabuki having the worst hero pool in MPL ID as a gold laner. He only pops off on the carry and the Claude. He's found recent success in the Harith, but I don't even want to count that in because everyone finds success in the Harith right now. His other pick is the Roger, but you can clearly see the distinction between him playing heroes that he is now learning, like the Roger and the Harith, and him playing heroes that he's super comfortable with, his super prio picks, which are the Carry and the Claude. And so far, it's been those two that has gotten Aura most of their wins. That's why he has amazing stats on the carry, on the Claude, but everything else, it's more 50-50, 60-40, still very, very flip-floppy win rates. And in their match this week, or in the last week, week 6, I think they just got completely exposed. He wasn't given the carry, he wasn't given the Claude, they had to ban out the Claude, actually, from RRQ, and they had to eventually go and pick up the Roger, and again, he wasn't doing bad on the Roger. It wasn't bad, but still you can see the clear distinction between Kabuki on his comfort pick, where he can carry the team. He can legit put the team on his back in the late game, to when he plays the Roger, where he's not bad, but he's not the normal Kabuki. And if Aura don't fix this, RQ have basically created a blueprint on how to beat Aura, on how to counter Kabuki's very low hero pool. So with that, I'm going to have to put Aura down to great. Very unfortunate. I still think that there is time for them to improve. That's why I'm not going to downgrade them even more. I think great is already a good place to have Aura in. Next on the list, we have Evo's Glory, who, last week had a phenomenal week, 2-0. Getting Fluffy, the X-Borg, seems to be the best way to win. And a lot of people have since said that, Fluffy, he plays well on the X-Borg, but technically we haven't seen him on any other pick. And I also agreed with that statement, because if we take a look at Fluffy's track record in MPL, he was never really known as an X-Borg one-trick. He was never really known as a one-trick of any hero. He's very fully multi-dimensional XP laner that can play whatever the team needs him to play. But unfortunately, maybe it's because he is too comfortable on the X-Borg now. It seems like whenever he plays anything else, it still kind of seems like it's X-Borg. You know what I mean? He's so comfortable on the X-Borg. Maybe he's been playing the X-Borg so much that his usual comfort picks, like the Paquito, doesn't seem to be comfortable on him anymore. He's not comfortable on that pick anymore. And this team really struggles hard when Fluffy doesn't zone, when he doesn't get the, his prio pick. Because usually on his comfort pick, he's always able to find crazy impact around the map. On the X-Borg, it's usually just his laning, which is magnificent, and his team fighting, where he knows exactly how to play the X-Borg. Kind of reminds me of a Flap TZ X-Borg, where he just stands in front, takes damage, and dishes out damage as well. His spacing, his kiting is phenomenal on the X-Borg. But when he doesn't get the X-Borg, that's where the team really struggles. Now, without the team having someone like Fluffy on the X-Borg zoning the back line, their front to back and their team fights aren't as good as they were in the previous weeks. They're also they got exposed by Geek Fam, where Evo's Glory as a team, they lack a lot of core fundamentals still, in my opinion. There's still a lot to be worked on for this team, especially in the macro department and all around the other aspects. But the way that they've been winning is through team fights. I'll just put it as simple as that. Their team fight carries the other weaknesses in their game, and they're really amazing in team fights, especially with that X-Borg. But again, against Geek Fam, a team who was able to kite back, to go back and forth, and to technically out-team fight them, they lost. You'll see a pattern in Geek Fam matches where they will win up against teams who are a bit more like one-dimensional, where they are only good at one thing, like team fighting. So if they are going to go up against the top teams later on, if they get picked off, if they go up against a team that can out-team fight them or out-macro them, then this team will still be in danger. But other than that, if Evo's Glory fix those mistakes coming into the week 7, I think this is a team with still a lot of potential. And I think these mistakes are still very easy to work around. So for Evos, I think I'm going to have to move them to... For now, I won't move them too far back. I'll put them at the lowest grade for now because they still look very, very promising. Next on the list, we have Onyx, who are back to their normal form with the Assassins. But this doesn't mean that it's all good for Onyx. I'll have to say, based on the matches that I have seen, based on the matches I casted as well, this means, though, with the Assassins back in the jungle, with them prioritizing Kyrie, getting all these resources, they're going to have to sacrifice a whole lot more. We're not in the hyper carry meta where giving all your gold, all your resources towards the jungler can work as good as before anymore. So now the XP in mid and even gold lane will have to sacrifice a lot. Mainly the XP lane, though, because if you see how Lutpi has been playing, he's the most selfless XP lane in MPL right now. He plays the role that Boots was playing back in the day, but he plays it to a very, another level of sacrificial lamb. This man is giving his own farm. He's giving all his prio. He's giving everything to help the team. He will just cover for Kyrie at all times, and that has resulted in a lot of times him basically being the sandbag that is technically the roamer. He's the guy. He's the tank. Well, he's not the roamer because Keyboy's still the roamer, but he's the tank. Keyboy is the playmaker, and the XP is the tank, is what I'm trying to get at. Especially with the Terizla, I think he went 1-4 and 1-7 in the 2 matches that they played with the Terizla. And yeah, definitely not a good stat line, but again, if it works for Onyx, technically, hey, it still works. And even in the gold lane, CW had to really sacrifice his lane as well by getting picks like the Brody that have to start getting online and start grouping up the team ASAP as well, so that Kyrie can get those side lane pressure, can get the resources as well. But the thing is, though, with this strategy, it's all fine and dandy now because they haven't lost the game, and it still looks like they are kind of indestructible. But it is very, very vulnerable still. In the game, Alter Ego versus Onyx game number 1, where we saw the same strat, I think they got exposed. They got completely shut down in the early game by the Akai, by the composition that Alter Ego had, and their one-dimensional comp, yes, I'll call it a one-dimensional comp because literally, if you lose out in the early game hard like you did against Alter Ego, you shouldn't be able to come back. I legit wrote down on my iPad, it's over. Right as they got the 3 kills, the turtle, and the purple buff in game 1. Alter Ego Onyx. But it's still insane. The fact that they pulled it off, losing in the early game, coming back in the side, this comp takes crazy levels of skill. It takes like an insane level of micro and macro. So the fact that they are able to pull it off shows, to me at least, I don't know about you guys, but it shows to me that they are still on a whole different level. And when these assassins do eventually get banned, we did see against Dewa that they went back to the Fredrin, and they were still great at the Fredrin. If you can play these crazy high-level compositions the way that Onyx do, the normal tank junglers are easy. You know what I mean? So for Onyx, I'm going to have to move them back to top team. They're still freaking insane at the game, and they basically showed with a 2-0 match rate in week 6 that they are still here for the top contender spot for the trophy too. They're still contenders. Next up, we have Bigatron Alpha, who are also back to their normal form with their multi-dimensional gameplay, calm, composed, and this time even more so. Not ever getting baited by enemy aggression like the early weeks of Bigatron Alpha. Week 1 to week 3, you could still see that Bigatron Alpha, though they are calm, they are composed, they are very disciplined, and they do know exactly what decisions to make at every single position. They still get baited by a lot of these early aggressive teams and a lot of the early pressure teams. So that's something that definitely Bigatron will still need to be working on. But aside from that, if they play the way that they are playing right now, and if their drafts stay the same, their draft was also a main criticism point for me. back in week 5 because it just looked like it was very, very readable. Every single time they picked a flex in the jungle, it's almost 90% Fanny that's going to come up. Now they've kind of already found another way to do that, to outdraft their opponents with the Harith by giving him on his comfort picks, by looking for Moreno's comfort picks as well. So a lot more ways in the draft that I'm seeing from Bigatron Alpha that has made them way, way stronger. But if they can continue that solid draft and they can continue improving what makes them good, which is the slow build snowball that requires a team to stay disciplined and composed. And even without the snowball, if they are able to keep that at level footing up until their power spike, if they understand their power window a bit better, this is a team that will very easily be an upper bracket team as well with Onyx. Will I put Bigatron above Onyx? I will say right now, based on their week 6 performance, Bigatron looked way, way more what's it called? I can't find the word, but they looked better, is what I'm trying to say. Onyx looked good, but we still saw that, the assassin meta, the way that Onyx plays the assassin meta, still could be countered. And we'll have to see whether or not Onyx are fully back to their prime form in week 7. Next, we have Rebellion, who are still super inconsistent. Very evident in both their matches this week. Even in their win against Alter Ego, they completely just banked on team fights. Sure, it was a team fighting composition, but they had so much prio, they had so many advantages around the map that you would expect the normal team to just utilize that. Yes, you're good at team fights, but why not also utilize the advantages that you have? And they even forgot, this one really got to me, bro. They were playing Natan, I believe, in Game 2 against Alter Ego. And the Natan goes and fight for second turtle without his item power spikes. I remember I was watch partying like an Omega game or a TNC game where they picked Natan as well. I think it was TNC. And the Natan just kept on joining team fights early game, and I was mauling on stream. I was saying shit like, bro, this team's not going to make it to playoffs. This team's so bad. Shit like that. And yeah, I couldn't say that on broadcast, but if I could, I would. Trust me. Rebellion were really getting into my nerves, bro. The way that they were playing the Natan. Second turtle taking fights when the Natan was already behind in lane. It was just the stupidest decision ever. And I really hope I don't get to facepalm as much next week because Rebellion certainly will improve. They've shown that they can improve in a short time span. So please, Rebellion, please improve on that moment. Yeah, because they basically conceded that game when it was very, very winnable. They got exposed even more, though, against a more disciplined team like RRQ. In Game 2, they had all the advantages, and they didn't use it properly. The chip advantage as well, they committed in all these team fights 100% of the way, so they basically gambled on every single team fight, despite having the advantage, gold, turrets, minions, everywhere around the map. They didn't need to take these 100-0 fights. They could just keep it at 50-50, keep on poking when you don't get Skylar, and play and reset back again. Even that last play where Cars was split pushing into gold lane or in the bottom side of the map, it was just really weird that they committed fully into that. There was definitely a misplay happened for sure. I don't know who it was that made a misplay because the camera was centered around Cars, but the fact that Cars went for the split push and 2 members were still able to recall, making it a 3v4 in the Lord Pit, and Rebellion still lost a 4v3 against RRQ. What the heck happened there? How did they fuck up that badly? They had all the forced errors, but they couldn't execute with those forced errors. So the forced errors ended up with them forced erroring themselves to give RQ the free game because they could have just reset again. They were in no rush to go for that Lord. Legit, they had all the advantages. They had the Paquito in the side wave that can constantly push in, and they had a goddamn chip that could bring him into these team fights whenever he needs to. So RBL definitely needs to fix their composure. They definitely need to fix their decision making as well in these high pressure situations because we've seen glimpses of how good Rebellion can be when there's no pressure on the line. And by the way, fun facts, or not fun facts, but a Mirko statement here for RBL and AudiTZ. I support AudiTZ. What Rebellion has done, the tagging of Clay, definitely not. I don't support that, but AudiTZ, keep it up. I feel like you have made MPL ID much, much more fun, and it technically was already proven because RQ versus Rebellion and RQ versus Aura are the 2 top viewership numbers for MPL ID Season 13 right now with the most concurrent peak viewers. RQ is the biggest team up against a team that taunts them Arc Rebellion and Arc Aura, we got the records. We got the watch, the peak concurrent watch viewers thingy-majiggy. So I think it proves that, it's pretty effective. But yeah, Rebellion, I will have to put them still in mid-table. I'm not going to move their standing for now, and you'll see exactly why. Dewa. Everything revolves around Drian. They looked very multidimensional at the start because nobody knew what it is with Dewa, but now I think every single team in MPL ID have them figured out. They know what makes Dewa strong. It's revolving around Drian. If Drian gets a pick, it doesn't matter what pick. He could be on the Masha, he could be on the Minotaur, he could be on the Valentina Rome. Whatever pick he is on that can enable his shot calls and that can enable him to be kind of a carry, they can win. They are really, really smart with the way that they look at games as well. They're no longer that week 1 to week 3 full all-in team anymore. But when he gets bullied, when he doesn't get his comfort picks, it's back to Dewa last season, which is, again, definitely not playoffs contender team for this season. I'm going to have to demote Dewa to no playoffs. Based on their performance in this week, it was horrendous. Alter Ego as well. Without even explaining, I'm going to say this team is no playoffs based on week 6 right now. Holy shit, am I triggered every time I see them play. Because we've been saying for the longest time, we've been saying this for Alter Ego for the longest time. I think if you are an avid watcher of the Mirror Recap, you've probably heard this over and over and over and over again whenever I talk about Alter Ego, but they are a team that has the most template gameplay from week 1, and this has yet to change. Their drafts can be as unique, as creative as they want, but with Coach Aldo, obviously. But if they don't have proper fundamentals and dynamic decision making, this team is fucked. Exposed for only knowing how to play the game when the early game goes their way. If they get the early game, if they get the first turtle, they are a freaking insane team. They know how to stay composed with the snowball. But when the enemy teams weather the storm, or if the enemy teams outdo them in the early game, beat them at their own game, they're fucked. They have no idea what to do to come back in the game. They have no idea what to do to take back control of the game. And even in the draft, sometimes, as much as I love Aldo, this is a criticism that I will have to give to Alter Ego. In the drafts, they lack the proper fundamentals. Angela Ling picked up very early, which, again, no, not their fault because, hey, Angela Ling is very, very prio. But if that was the plan from the start, there's a reason why the best team to play those assassins, Onyx, ban out Barats in every single side that they're on when they are setting up for an assassin. It's because the Barats is one of the only utility junglers that can actually match, and not just match, they can actually farm faster than the assassins and can punish the assassins hard in the early with his big guy stacks. When you get those full stacks and you invade, these assassins in the early game stand no chance, even with the Angela. And I think the match Bigatron Alter Ego game 2 or game 1, I forgot, the Angela Ling one, kind of proved it. Bigatron basically gave them the Angela Ling on a silver platter because they knew exactly how to chomp down on that food on the silver platter before Alter Ego did. So, yeah, that's why I have to put Alter Ego in no playoffs. I will still say, though, that they are better than Dewa, at least. And we're going to move on to Geek Fam now. Honestly, Geek Fam, I'm still very 50-50 on this one. They have drafts that blow my mind in a good and bad way. And I don't know, that is not a compliment. Selena pick with no winning lanes has got to be one of the moments where I facepalmed the hardest in MPL ID Season 13. Not picking up Matilda, trading it for a free Harith against BTR is another freaking weird choice to make. But hey, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because it was the start of week 6. It was the first match of week 6 against Bigatron Alpha. Maybe they had something different planned out. Maybe they weren't really fully adapted to the patch yet. Different priorities. Completely fine. But then the game against Evos, they were much better in the drafts. They had like core fundamentals. When they picked up the S-Test, when they changed some of their drafts there, it was like game 1 it was bad. But then game 2, game 3 they adapted through it, and I think it was good. But still, definitely not safe because it is still very, very one-dimensional, this composition, the way that they are playing as well. It basically means that they are basically doing what Evos are doing, but a worse version of it. Even though they won against Evos, they're still more one-dimensional so far from what I'm seeing. Obviously, they can change this still, but if they continue to play this way, if they play up against higher level teams that can avoid these team fights, teams that can actually macro it out and pick them off one by one, or just split them up where they need to kind of group up with this Ube, it's like a very botched version of Blacklist Ube back in the day. So Geek Fam still in no playoffs. I'm going to have to still keep them at no playoffs. Next, RQ. I've been saying this from week 1 as well. This team is Skylar Esports. And hold up, before you haters get to me, before the RQ fans as well get pissed, or any haters get pissed, calm down. I've been saying RQ is Skylar Esports not because the other players are bad. It's because Skylar is just that freaking good. So it just doesn't make sense for the team to not play around Skylar. When you have a gold lane, a generational talent like Skylar in your team, you have to do it. And I think that's why I have to give respect to RQ for the way they played this week. They completely, maybe in week 1 to 5, they were still trying to disregard the allegations, fight the allegations of this team being Skylar Esports. In week 6, they said, nah, you know what? We have this great gold laner. Might as well use him. Might as well go Skylar Esports. Other than that, though, I had my doubts about Don. I actually thought Banana was still better despite the hate that he got. But damn. Don really proved to be a monster. And with more depth in his hero pool and great decision-making, he's a very good addition to the team. Clay, also a very, very underrated addition to this team where a lot of people might not have given him enough credit. I think I will give him this credit because he's also one of my idols, Clay and Skylar, both my idols on RQ. He has transitioned. He has actually matured as a player from the usual Season 9 Clay, where he plays the primary/secondary carry of the team. He is always usually the primary or secondary carry. Even when Skylar doesn't carry, you usually see Clay carry. And actually, Skylar has to give up that role sometimes and be selfless to give Clay the opportunity to carry. Now, he can still play like that. He can still play like the carry, even though he's not as hard of a carry as he was in Season 9. He now is more of a filler because he can play the carry, but he can also play the utility. When he plays pure utility, even on these carry picks, the way he plays it is more utility. To what? To enable Skylar, to peel for Skylar. And if they continue this way, I've been saying that a lot of teams will be able to read this out, but honestly, if they continue this playstyle and Skylar still gets his picks, this team is very, very promising. And I've said this many, many times before. This team, on paper, based on just looking at the roster, should be a team that's great or top team. I haven't reached that yet, but I will put them at mid-table for now. RQ, very, very promising. I hope to see them improve even more in this week, and I hope to see them hopefully in the top team. Because seriously, based on paper, like their lineup deserves to be up there. But yeah, that's it for the team rating. All right, so we got through the power rankings of the teams already, the tier list, the power tier list of, the teams. Now I'm going to explain to you guys how to read the MPL Indonesia standings, because a lot of people are confused. It is very different to how MPL Malaysia, how MPL PH goes through their standings as well. So bear with me here. I will tell you exactly what to focus on first, and then I will explain to you in detail about the criterias that need to be met. So, the first thing you need to take into account when you look at the MPL ID standings is the match point. The match win-lose does not matter at all. We take a look only at the match point. Why do we only take a look at the match point? Well, let's take a look at RQ versus RQ, Rebellion, and Geek Fam. They all have 5 match point, but Rebellion and Geek Fam are 5-6, 5-6, right? We only take a look at the match point because RQ having 1 game in hand does not matter. What matters next after the match point is their net game win. So you look at the match point. If they're the same, you take a look at the next criteria, which basically decides where they go in the standings, which is the net game win. 0, -4, -5. So with the match points being the same, we take a look at that. That's why RQ are above of Rebellion and Geek Fam. Now, this is another very interesting thing to talk about, right? This is also the reason why Evo's Glory are 8th, not 7th. Because a lot of people were confused. Mirko, why are Evo's 8th, but Alter Ego have a worse match win-lose? They're 4-7. Evo's Glory at 4-6. And again, to that, I will have to answer, look at the match point and then look at the net game win. Having the loss behind the match win does not count. Because Evo's Glory now, they technically have one match in hand because, Alter Ego have already played a total of 13 matches. Evo's Glory have only played 10 matches. They still have one match to be played. If they win that, then they will have 5 and they'll automatically be ahead of Alter Ego, ahead of Dewa without having to see the net game win. But if they lose that match, they will still stay in match in 4-7. So still 4 match points. So we are only looking at match point, okay? Hopefully that doesn't confuse you guys too much. Match point, net game win. Another question will probably be, Mirko, what if match point and net game win are the same? Let's say for a Rebellion and Geek Fam, they have 5 match point. They are tied as well. Let's say for this comparison, they're both at -5. So they are completely tied. Then the next thing that will factor into where they place in the standings will be the head-to-head. Rebellion Esports versus Geek Fam in leg 1 or leg 2, depending on which match we have gotten the results for, will be determination on who will place in, the higher in the standings. So, example, Rebellion versus Geek Fam, match point the same, net game win the same. We will take a look at Rebellion Esports versus Geek Fam leg 1 result. Rebellion wins in leg 1, let's say, for this comparison. But then in leg 2, Geek Fam win. So head-to-head, they're kind of tied. We take a look at the score. So if leg 1, Rebellion win 2-0, Geek Fam win 2-1 in the second leg, that means the head-to-head will be won out by Rebellion because they have more games won against Geek Fam. But let's say they're also tied in that department. Let's say in Rebellion and Geek Fam are tied for both the matches. In leg 1, Rebellion win 2-1, and Geek Fam in leg 2 win 2-1 as well. So they're tied in both score and they're tied in both matches. Then for the regular season, it will be decided based on... It'll be determined then by the alphabet. But don't get mad first. Don't get mad. I know, I agree. It's very dumb to have all these, categories. And if it's all the same, for it to be determined just by alphabets. But this is only for the regular season. If, let's say, it's a placeholder. The alphabet will only be a placeholder. So again, I'll walk you through it again, okay? Very slowly. Rebellion and Geek Fam, same match point. Same net game win, then we will have to take a look at the head-to-head. If the head-to-head is still the same, we take a look at the head-to-head score. If the head-to-head score is also still the same, then it will go to alphabets only as a placeholder during the regular season. Later on, if by week 9, there will still be like those kind of tiebreakers and then 3-way ties and everything, we will have another breakdown, okay? So don't worry, this is only the standings breakdown for now because... I just want to tell you guys how to read it, but there will be even more like scenarios for every single way that this season can unfold. Because I'll have to say to you guys right now, in the rulebook of MPL ID, there is a scenario in place for a possible 9-way tiebreaker. So everything's already set in place. We don't know how the season will be unfolding. We might get a 3-way, we might get a 4-way, we might get a 5-way tie to determine who makes it to playoffs. But for the regular season, how you should read it, that's how you should read it, okay? We'll have another video once we see the next few weeks if there is a possibility. How much is there? What's the chances? What's the probability of actually having a 3-way, a 4-way, a 2-way tie? Then we will break it down again for you guys in more detail with better visuals because it'll be way more complicated. But that is how you read the standings. So yeah, let's move on to the player tier lists. All right, we'll start things off with the gold lane ratings. This is how it was last week. Technically, no, it wasn't actually. I mean, Skylar wasn't here, but I have to add the pictures. But we're going to swap this out again. I think for Skylar, I'm going to put him at number 1. Eman, very, very close second. And then I'll put CW there too. But this top 3 is close as hell. Kabuki, I'm going to have to put them in A tier, even though he's really, really good on specific heroes. Still, this hero pool is a big problem for Aura and... Honestly, if this problem still continues next week, we're going to have to put him in B. But I'll put him there still. Watt, going to have to downgrade him there. I think I'll put Brands over here as well with Chidera. And D as well. You know what? In the gold lane, I'm going to... D's been playing quite well, but... Shit. This is a tough one. I'll put Brands right there. I think Brands has been doing very, very well. And Watt just hasn't been performing. Very, very sad. But that's how I see... all the gold laners in MDL or in MPL for now. All right, for the roam, I'm going to move Key up there. Drian will still stay at A. I think Audi will still stay there as well. Dreams definitely will be bumped up. This is where Dreams was, I think, last time. Yeah, this is where Dreams was. Rossi's still here. Brusco is definitely very high. B, I think I'll put Audi here for now. And Beloyski, I will put at B. For now, this is how it looks like. I don't know if I'll put Brusco over Beloy. Based on a hero pool, yeah, but I think I'll have to move Key up a bit more there because he definitely proved on his Franco that he's a freaking beast. So for now, I will be putting this Rome tier list as is. Let me know what you guys think in the comments for the Rome. All right, here it is for mid laner. I'm going to have to put... Okay, let's think about this. Moreno is definitely up there again. A boy has downgraded a bit. Sully Boy enters the fray, and I will be putting him at B. Clay has moved up to A tier as well. Better than Sway Low, I would say. Claw Kun is definitely, I think, still around here. The K is still there. Yeah, I'll put Sully Boy here for now. And Yehezkiel, I'm going to have to downgrade Yehezkiel a bit there to maybe here for now. Because of the way that, I mean... Yeah, but he's still really good. This based on week 6, I'm gonna have to say this is probably the list. Sans was godly this week, bro. Yeah, let's move on to the jungle. All right, here it is. Here is the jungle tier list, and I will have to say, Kyrie definitely bumps up here. Ken also bumps up back. And then I will have to put Gugun. Yo, Gugun is still really good though. Like seriously. Mechanically, I think Kyrie is still number 1, but on the utility junglers, right? Like Gugun still plays really well. I think even though Aura lost, is this how we should put it here? Annabelle, Irad was playing really well too. I think Taz Taz wasn't that good this week. Vincent is there. Annabelle here. Ray still bottom. Yeah, this is what I think in the jungle. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, XP tier list now based on the players who played this week. I will still have to say, do I still think Aran is number 1 right now? I think so. Lord Jam will be going up. Cars will still be there though. I really like how Lord Jam plays, by the way. And Cerezo, still a very, very good player. Pi will be downgraded. I'm very sorry, but that's how it is. Don will be definitely moving up there. The way that he's been playing, it's actually really good. Luke, we're going to have to downgrade Luke. Lutpi as well. And you know what? We're going to put someone up there on S tier together with Aran. Who is it going to be? Damn, I don't think I can put anyone on S tier right now, like aside from Aran. The clear favoritism. Fluffy's definitely up here too, though. But because his hero pool is still weird, I'm going to have to put him here. Is this okay? Does this look good? I think it does. Luke and Kimura still here. And yeah, okay. For now, I will have to say this is how I look at XP lane. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. This is it for the Mirror Recap MPL ID Season 13. And I will see you guys tomorrow. By the way, before we end things, a bit of an Easter egg for you guys. RQ will have a player coming back to their lineup. You guys already saw RRQ's Octa is inactive now. We will have a new player come in for RRQ. An old player that was once in the roster. That's an Easter egg for you guys. Because I can't reveal it yet. I wanted to reveal it by like now. But we still have... there's no post yet. There's still no post about it. Yes, so I don't think I can reveal it yet, but you'll see.